right, Earthlings, and more specifically, Broncos country. Welcome back to the Thundering Dice channel with your boys, the Thundering Dice Brothers, and today, on the eve of what could be the Broncos' most important game of the season, their upcoming matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs at home, we wanted to take a quick retrospective look at the season thus far. Let's give our laurels where laurels are due, and let's heap some criticism where it's due. The defense, killing it. Special teams, looking kind of special. And the offense, well, inconsistent might be the politest way to say it. But regardless, we believe in Bo Nix, right?
Oh, yeah, dang straight. The light at the end of the tunnel from 10 years of darkness.
But is he? Because the sports pundits, the sports media, some people call them learned.
Some people call them hacks.
Yes, hacks is probably closer to it. It's kind of scary looking at what Bo Nix is looking like the last couple games, right? I mean, we're winning. And there's a lot of things that you can point to about the team that allows us to win, right? So you got the defense. I think that's like number one thing that's happening that's allowing us to win at all. The Denver Broncos defense is just completely dominating every other team that comes against them. They're leading the lead in sacks, and not just by 1 or 2 sacks, but by like 20 freaking sacks. Our quarterback pressure rate is higher than anyone else's. We don't have a high turnover rate, but our completion percentage is low. Our yards per game are low. Points per game are like top 3 in the NFL. Every metric, the defense is top 5. So that's probably the biggest reason that we're succeeding, I think.
Yeah. Without our defense, I mean, it goes just without saying, obviously, without a good defense, your offense can't do anything, really. But no, our defense has definitely been, especially when you're talking about the last, 3-4 games, minus the Bengals.
And the Cowboys.
And the Cowboys.
Well, actually, the Bengals game was great because we only let them score 3 points.
Right, yeah. But our last, our last few games where... It, especially when you're talking about the Raiders one, where we're struggling to get anything done on offense, and it was basically just a defensive slug match. It's sketchy. Yeah, you're right. It sketches me out watching the games, because whilst... I mean, I'm happy that we're winning, and since we're winning, I care about how we win, because you'd be insane not to look at some of our previous games back. All right, missed, a bulleted dropped passes, so many penalties on so many different people, just causing us to lose yard after yard after yard for no good reason. All that definitely sketches me out. But since
penalties are drive killers, we say that all the time, but all the procedural penalties, you can blame some of the accuracy or ball placement, whatever, that's the quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. But pre-snap penalties, false starts, illegal shift, illegal formation, not being lined up at the line of scrimmage, holding, all of those kind of things you can't blame on Bo Nix.
No.
Now, would it be great if he could just overcome every 2nd and 3rd and long? Yeah. But that's the whole point of the NFL. You want to kind of chip down so that when you get to 3rd down, it's a manageable 3rd down. So, a couple yards, not 3rd and 24, or even 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10. That's a kind of a tall order when, every other down, you're like, okay, cool. If we pick up 4 yards, we're good. But 3rd and 10, 4 yards isn't enough. Now you need 10 yards. And now you got to come up with some kind of play. And now you've got the pass protection. Now you've got to make sure that it's perfect. It feels like Bo Nix just has to kind of be perfect all the time. And if he isn't, then the other mistakes around him compound and it just drives it all into the ground.
It is kind of an unfortunate side effect of the quarterback position where, I mean, as we stand right now, yeah, our offensive line, I mean, it's really good, and we're, and I'm not trying to shit on them. I'm not trying to give them too much downing, but one mistake from Bo does tend to ruin a drive. And they're it's not the mistakes from him happen every play, but because he's in this situation, it feels that every single game, there are just multiple compounding mistakes that happen that inevitably kill at least 4 different drives. You know what I mean? I swear, each game, there's 3-4 different drives where we should have scored, we should have done anything, but we just get like pushed back, penalized, or like he just has to throw it out. The stress of being that much of a linchpin has got to be insane.
Yeah, and people like to always say quarterback is the most important position in all of pro sports. And I think it's really true. I mean, I hate to agree with the platitudes, but man, just watching the Broncos, like, Bo Nix is doing enough to win, obviously. And he's got that clutch gene, that fourth quarter, I don't give up gene, like, you can really tell when the pressure's on, it's not too much for him. In fact, sometimes in those high pressure moments, he seems to really excel. But then on the other hand, you can't exist in that state of mind all the time, because then you see what we see recently. Bo Nix's kind of happy feet. He's not setting his feet and going through progressions slowly. Or not, when I say slowly, I don't mean I don't want him to hold onto the ball for 4 seconds, but, trusting his offensive line to hold up for him for that extra half a second that he needs to look. It seems like because of all the pressure on him to win and be perfect all the time, he can never relax. And sometimes when he gets all that, like, if you always exist in the seat of your pants fourth quarter moments for the other 3 quarters, yeah, I can imagine that's gonna you're gonna make mistakes. You're not gonna be able to settle down. All you need to focus on is down, first down, second down. But if you're constantly thinking that you're playing for everything, you're playing from behind, you have to be perfect, there's no opportunity to settle down and just get first down, get second down, get third down, just keep moving through it, because before you even get to throw the ball, false start, number 79, 5-yard penalty, replay, first down, great, now you're 1st and 15. Holding, offense, number 69, 10-yard penalty, replay a second down. Cool, so now we're 2nd and 25. Third down, 5-yard run up the gut, punt. Fantastic.
And then also you pepper in the trick plays that Sean Payton likes to bring in, and I'm like, I love it when they work out.
Yeah, when they work, they're awesome.
But when they don't work, they're particularly infuriating to watch. Like that last one where it was like a 3rd and 1. And Sean's like, all right, we're gonna do the double thing. Bo is gonna throw back to Sutton, right? Was it Sutton? I think.
Yep.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sutton, and then he'll throw to, I don't remember who, but it doesn't
somebody.
Work. I mean, like, when it works, it's brilliant, and you're just like, oh my god, that's like the coolest play, and I can't believe I've seen that, and it's like a 1 in a million thing. I mean, like, Sean's done it multiple times last year. This year, the trick plays seem to have dried up and just not worked at all. Like,
I think last year there were a couple times when the trick plays were almost like that's what we needed to do to give us a spark, or we just were a little bit deficient on talent and execution, that sometimes we just had to pull out the surprise out of the hat and get a play that way. This year here, I think Sean Payton wants to focus more on his offense. Like, let's get the offensive fundamentals down, and then when needed, we can throw in the trick play to confuse defenses and get ourselves out of a rut or make a surprise big play, stuff like that. So I think Sean Payton wants to call fewer trick plays so that when he needs them, they're more explosive and more surprising. So yeah, I totally get that vibe check difference between last year and this year. More trick plays, more explosive kind of stuff. This year here, I think Sean Payton is trying to make the offense more consistent, and therefore fewer trick plays. He doesn't want to have to rely on gadgets to make it work. But the consequence of that is evident. It's where the offense needs a bit of a spark sometimes, doesn't it? Like, we need that Marvin Mims factor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think I really noticed his absence these last 2 games, and of course the return game. Yeah, no kidding. He's an all-pro returner, and you can't just call up a dude from the practice squad and expect him to be able to make up that same kind of production and that kind of, competence. Yeah. And then, but beyond that, you always had Mims running those cool, like, jet sweeps, end arounds, treat him like a running back in the backfield because he's so fast and shifty. Use some of that returnability, but as an offensive player. And then on top of that, too, you got that that flat out speed. Not a great route runner, but send him on a go route 25, 35, 45 yards down the field, and he makes magic happen half the time. It's pretty awesome when it happens. You just clutch moments, I mean, a lot of those fourth quarter comebacks we've had this season, Mims was heavily involved. The fourth quarter comeback, not the one against the Eagles, which is the first one, but the one where we scored 33 points against the frickin' Giants. in the last quarter, he had 2 big plays to Mims, one down the middle of the field for like 25 yards, one down the right sideline for like 30 yards, just to set us up for that field goal range, you know. And then we don't have that Mims all of a sudden. We're missing a bit of that explosive it factor, right? Like we're going 3 and out more often. Those big chunk plays just don't seem to be there because defenses, I think, aren't respecting the deep ball as much because we're trying, man, and it's not connecting. So they don't really have to. They can stack a little more. They can pressure more. They know Bo isn't comfortable right now.
And the fact that we can't throw deep balls to basically save our life is a huge advantage to any opponent we face. Because, like, yeah, like, you know, I mean, like, you can just, I mean, like, we've seen it. The pressure on Bo has been incredible this entire season. And since he doesn't have that real, like, you know, like, in the back pocket, be like, all right, if I need to, I'll just throw a deep ball and I'll have whoever I need down there and they will get it. We just don't really have anyone who is just connecting with Bo as much as they should be down there. So yeah, you just get an unfathomable amount of pressure. And then I also kind of think that this, I mean, like, I know screenplays are one of Sean's like specialty and he really likes them, but I kind of think that we overuse them to like such a degree that like I don't want them to like stop, but I just think that we need to do a little more mixing up on how we throw the ball, because these short screen passes for like 1 or 2 yard gains or like 3 or 4 negative gain loss, I mean, just seem to like it's working, but only slightly. I don't know. I just feel like there's more we could be doing with Bo and his arm than just that. And I'm not saying that we were only doing screenplays because we're obviously not, but it's such a heavy weapon in our arsenal that I think we just overuse it. And I think teams are really understanding how to stop us or to make our passing game extremely difficult because we rely on it so much.
Yeah, I think people, when they think of, all right, I'm talking about Broncos fans. When Broncos fans think of screen games, what do they think of? Peyton Manning, Demaryius Thomas, right?
Yes.
That indelible connection between those two players. And we ripped off so many amazing plays, or DT ripped off so many amazing plays from that position. And we're kind of forgetting that we don't have DT.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Peyton Manning, when asked, why did the screen game work so well? How can you teach it? He's like, I can't. I can't tell you why it worked because you don't have DT. A man like him is generational. He's unique. He was able to just bust it out every single time. No one could do it like them. And I think we expect too much out of the screen game. We expect it to look like that, and it's a little unfair. Second of all, my God, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all, we can't block a screen. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter who has the ball. You give it to Shifty Mimsy. If he can't get a block in front of him, he's not going anywhere, right? Those safeties, those cornerbacks, they're ready for it, right? They know it's a big part of the game. Defenses plan on screens. Now, how do you bust a screen out? You've got competent wide receiver, tight end blocking on the outside. If you've got one-on-one blocking and your running back has the ball for that screen, my gosh, like, all you got to do is hold up that person. And please don't hold. But you need to stop the defenders just for a split second. You just need to give enough time for him to slip through there. And if the screen game always got 5 yards, we wouldn't be complaining about it. But yeah, when you mentioned those negative yards on those screen plays, it should work. Or do you remember that screenplay that got blown up on the right side of the line where a defender literally was being blocked and was able to still tackle the running back at the same time?
Yes.
That's how soft our blocking is.
No, we've been trying to extend Adam Troutman some grace here and the tight end room in general some grace, but it seems week after week that they're kind of coming up short.
They're weak. This is weak. This is like, I don't know about you, but back in the day, you had some coaches, tight end coaches, that you'd have had an earful of some nastiness up in your eardrum for going out there and getting abused by this guy.
That's a safety too. You're a big tight end.
This is our identity on offense. We throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage all the time.
Yeah.
And people are like, keep doing it. You're not good at it.
Yeah.
Your guys outside aren't good at blocking. And we're going to just keep coming up and stuffing you and taking this beautiful, talented young player here and not giving him an opportunity. And so it's hard to be critical, but here's just a guy getting beat. And when you get beat, you got to be pointed out. And I'm sure he's a few other times I watched Troutman, and we lack at the tight end spot. I mean, I'm going to say it. There's just, we don't have even a group of guys that can get it done. It's just that position to me.
It's baby poop soft. It's sad.
Oh yeah.
And that's not even offensive line actually, because we're talking about, if you talk about offensive line, we're really just talking about guards, tackles, and center. Now, outside of that, we're talking about tight ends and wide receivers. So we're talking about these screens, these wide receiver screens, these tight end screens, these running back screens. You got to have a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back in the blocking position to take those edge rushers out of the equation. If you can hold your one-on-one blocks there, like you're supposed to be able to, like we're paying you millions and millions and millions of dollars to do, then the screen game starts to work. And when the screen game works, you use it as sort of an extension of the running game. When you got a running game and you got a screen game, that means your pass game down the field opens up too, because now they really have to respect the screen. They really have to respect the downfield shots. And I really feel like we're really close on that. Like if we can just get that to click, I really think things will change around.
I mean, you're probably right. Yeah, if with the blocking especially, yeah, if you get that down, let Bo finally settle his feet, give him a second to breathe in the pocket without having to worrying about scrambling or getting the ball over the line of scrimmage because he has to throw it out. I think a lot of our problems are going to be settled. Because it's such a funny thing to say. It's like, oh yeah, if we just figure out the blocking, everything else will be good. And then, you take 5 steps back and be like, we are 8-2.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're talking about fine tuning like a Ferrari here. Like this is a very fine tuned engine. Just needs that 0.5% adjustment to really get it to click, and then the O-line would be just brilliant. That flat blocking. You just gotta get that down.
I actually think some of the issues that look like when you mentioned that Bo is under duress and that they needed their blocking, like we really need to divorce the O-line from the blocking members of the personnel. Like the O-line, those 5, they do their jobs. Now we need the accessories, the ones who are on the outside of the line, the tight ends and the wide receivers and the running backs that block the defenders, that block for screens. Those are the guys that we are really worrying about it, or are really dropping the ball on the blocking front. Because how often do you see a defender blow through the middle of the line and hit Bo?
Very few times. Like it happens.
And how often does he get flushed from the side?
All the time.
Right. So it's the edge defenders that's happening. So, you got Bowles and you've got McGlinchey and you've got Miners. And you've got, we've got our backup, Palczewski.
Yeah.
Those guys do a great job up front. When you talk about winning the battle in the trenches, I think generally they do win that battle. But it's those outside blockers. And then Bo's got his happy feet. Like, I think he's seeing ghosts a little bit. And I really think that I think he's putting too much pressure on himself. And it's affecting the way he plays. You know what I mean? Like, do you kind of get that feeling when you see him dancing in the pocket? Or when he's leaving the field after a 3 and out, and they give you that tight shot of his face, and he's not quite as settled or as composed or neutral faced as he was earlier.
Yeah. He's definitely very unsettled is the right word. Yeah, in the pocket because he knows, and it's got to be so infuriating. Like with the knowledge that you have the receivers, you know that you can connect for the most part, so long as it's not a deep ball. And you can connect on the screens really well. But every time you're in that pocket, you have to be looking left or right because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to scramble and then throw either over shoulder or under shoulder, depending if it's left or right. And it that type of that type of just ghost constantly hovering over you. And then, not settling your feet. And then, you're right. Like, when he leaves and you see his face, if it isn't a proper, touchdown, you can definitely tell the frustration there because, he knows the problem. And it's also actually one of those things, too. I think, with the touchdowns, when they do happen, he's even more, I think he becomes a little, not saying that he becomes too elated when a touchdown, but it's you can see that, energy release where he's finally, when he's screaming, yes, it worked. This problem that's been screwing me over the entire game. Finally, we got from A to Z this time instead of just getting from A to G and having to kick a field goal
or punt.
Yeah.
He does. He has for sometimes he's real stoic and sometimes he's really emotional. It's funny. He's got some people just have highs and lows, and he does have the gamut, but for a while he had nothing, right? For a long time he kind of looked very neutral all the time, and now I'm just worried that he's getting a little too emotional about it. And I want my quarterback to be fired up. I want my quarterback to be invested. I want him to get emotional. I want him to hold his teammates accountable. I want them to hold him accountable. All those things, emotion is a part of sports. If there were no emotions in sports, we wouldn't watch it, right?
Yeah.
And we wouldn't play it. So I want the highs and I want the lows, but I also want a little more even keel. And like you said, I don't want him to be like the monkey on his back, like he has to score. Otherwise, he feels like he's letting himself down or letting the team down. I want the team to help Bo out a little bit too, because here's what I'm coming to realize right now during this conversation is that Bo has to be perfect all the time. It seems like for the offense to click, for us to feel great. But Bo is also great in the respect that when things aren't clicking, he finds a way to get them a win in the end of the day. Like the defense is keeping them in games, right? They're keeping the score close, but Bo Nix and the offense are the ones who have to score the points. It's not like the defense are getting a lot of turnovers and pick sixes and scoop and score fumble recoveries and stuff like that. Nah, they're not a big scoring defense like that.
Yeah.
They don't allow points, but they don't they don't score a lot of points themselves. So the points that are on the board, they're all coming from the offense. So, I want the wide receivers to help out Bo a little more. I want the tight ends to block better. I want the running backs to actually, I can't really complain about the running backs. What am I saying? They're actually crushing it this year for us. So running backs, please continue to do what you do.
Well, no, definitely the running backs. But when you look at the rushing stats, Bo is in third place, and only by 9 yards is he behind Harvey. Dobbins has 772 rushing yards. Harvey has 214. Bo has 205. That's a.
I was gonna say, if you give the stats up, what does Harvey's receiving yard look like? Because he's a pretty big receiving back as well. I almost think that he is like a 50-50 back between catching and running.
Yeah, he is at 175 yards receiving.
And what, 3 or 4 touchdowns?
Four.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns. That's as many touchdowns as our wide receiver Cortland Sutton has. Our wide receiver 1, I might add.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, 7 yards per carry.
Yeah, and I know that our team is I think there's a metric that I don't have in front of me right now that's sort of like points on the field metric. It's like how many points did we give or did we not score because of drops? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And we are top 3 in the league for that. So it's not just that Bo is throwing necessarily inaccurately. How often, there multiple times every game, a ball will hit a receiver in the chest plate, on the face mask, on the hands, and it bounces out, and they have stone hands and don't catch it.
Yeah.
You really can't blame the quarterback for that. If he puts the football on your chest, you're a wide receiver, man. That's all you get paid to do is run routes and catch footballs. And it hits you in the chest, well, then I guess all you did was run a route. 50%, that's not even D's get degrees. Shit, we don't grade on a curve here. It hits you in the hands, you catch it. It hits you in the chest, you catch it. If it hits your face mask, your eyeballs are closer to it than your hands, you're supposed to catch it. Mm-hmm. It's just unacceptable. So, a rising tide raises all boats. Bo is that tide and has gotten us to the point where we can consider winning these close games, right? He is that tide that's rising everybody up. He's making plays where there are no plays to be made. He's getting us wins that would have been losses 2 years ago. No question in my mind.
Yeah.
So he is rising everybody else. Now everyone else has to actually help him out a little bit. You can't just be the boat and not paddle at all, right? Come on. Just being raised up and getting more targets. All right, cool. Now let's do something with those targets, right? Let's catch the damn ball when it hits us in the hands. And maybe help your quarterback out a step further than that. Instead of just the baseline being, can we catch the ball? Maybe, can we catch contested footballs? Can we help our quarterback out? Can we make our quarterback look good? Why does the quarterback have to be the one that makes you look good, you slackers? You are paid money to catch the football, and sometimes it's going to be hard to do. Why don't you make it easier on your quarterback? Get more separation. Fight for that ball. Fight for those yards. Fight for the yards after contact. Don't go down in the backfield to an arm tackle on 3rd down. Effort, right? And that's what we need from the other people around Bo. You can't always just say, Bo Nix, be better. everybody else needs to be better too, so they can help Bo Nix, because he's doing what he can. Now you got to catch the ball. Now you got to fight for those yards. Now you got to fight for that ball. You need that my football mentality, wide receivers and running backs. Don't just put it on Bo, right?
No, yeah, because I mean, like, he's got a 60% completion rate,
which is probably bottom third of the league right now.
Yeah, but how many of that 40% uncompletion rate is just straight drops?
And how many of those are throwaways too? Because he's smart. He sees a sack coming. He's like, screw this. I'm not going to lose 12 yards. I'll throw it away and fight for another down, which doesn't look good statistically.
But it's way better watching it. Like, I'd rather see him throw it away than get the sack and lose a buttload of yards.
And of course, the ultimate thing would obviously be evade the sack, throw a completion for 45 yards, etc. That's what we want to have every single time. But he is being smarter with the football. Like, he's not taking those sacks, which makes his O-line look good. He's throwing the ball away, which makes his stat line look bad. But he's winning games, which makes the team look good. But because his stat line isn't good enough, it makes the national media think that we're not good. And so we're like the worst 8-2 team ever. And because people are sheep and don't want to actually think more than just the reaction that they have to a game or to a play, they think that we're not deserving of 8-2, which all these things make no sense. We're 8-2, guys. You don't become 8-2 because you don't deserve it. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, exactly.
What did we luck into it? Like, how do you luck into an 8-2 record?
Yeah, I don't understand how the other people are like, oh, like you don't deserve to win, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's points on the board that decides who's to win. It doesn't matter if it's like if the only reason you're winning because like the other team has just a crap load of penalties and are just gifting you the game, or have many people who are out and are using backups and are thus are gifting you the game. It doesn't really matter like the circumstances of the win, so long as you win and keep winning. Like that's the thing that a lot of people are just like refusing to admit. Like, yeah, they won a game. Oh, they won the next game. Oh, they won the next game. Oh, they also have won the next game. Oh, and again they've won the next game. At a certain point, you have to look at the trend of wins and be like, all right, yeah, it might not be pretty football, it might not be the most pretty win. There could be a lot of better things executed. We could tighten up a lot of different aspects of how we're playing. But the wins are still stacking up, and at the end of the day, that does matter a great deal.
Yeah, it's such a funny paradox, isn't it? We're 8-2. We've won 7 games in a row. Like, this isn't fluky. This isn't winning one, lose one, win one, lose one. No, this is win, 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 win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's. I think the Broncos fan base is so funny that way, right? Like, we're spoiled because we've kind of had really great luck with quarterbacks overall. Like, you think about the big two, right?
Yeah.
Elway and Manning. The ones that got us to Super Bowls. The ones that won us Lombardis, Elway and Manning. Even between Elway and Manning, there were some good times. We went to multiple AFC championship games with Jake Plummer. He just wasn't quite good enough to get us over that hump. Or maybe the team wasn't, or the coaching wasn't. Terrell Davis blowing up his knee. If Terrell Davis doesn't blow up his knee, I think that, and he keeps playing like he did with the Broncos, there's a good chance that Jake Plummer gets a bowl out of that, a Super Bowl out of that.
Yeah.
Because when you've got that kind of an explosive offensive weapon running for 2,000 yards, I mean, God, we might see a 2,000-yard rusher again. We did see one for the first time in years last year, but it already got 17 games and stuff. Like, God, it's hard to rush for 2,000 yards in the NFL, and he did it every year. And, man, if TD doesn't blow up his knee, I think that team keeps going strong. Maybe not another Super Bowl right away, but I think that we're always in that window.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That was definitely a season-shattering event.
And not just, it pretty much destroyed Terrell Davis's career, unfortunately. Medical science not being what it is today. This happened in 2000, I think. So we're talking 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been better today, but yeah, it was just such a shame. But back to that point, the Broncos just expect us to always win. We didn't have back-to-back losing seasons until this past decade. We didn't have a playout drought this long ever. We're not happy with that. And now when it's starting to turn around again, I think some people are like afraid to love again. They're afraid to trust. They're looking for anything like if I just insulate myself from the victories, then when we finally collapse, I won't feel so bad about it, and I can shrug my shoulders and be like, "Up, that's them Broncos," instead of progress like, holy cow, look what Sean has done. We went from laughingstock dumpster fire to literally the top of the NFL, 8-2, and people are not arguing about like whether like what we're going to be picking next year in the draft, and should we tank for another quarterback or something like that. No, now everyone is talking about us like, oh well, how good are they really, and how and oh my gosh, they're only 2 years into a rebuild. What could this look like in year 4 when all the money's done and we've got even more time to rebuild the roster and we got some more free agencies under our belts, and Bo Nix has even more playing time under his belt, more experiences, and seen more defenses. Like this is only year 2 of Sean Payton's like real rebuild. I don't count the first year with Russ because that was just awful.
Yeah. He who shall not be named was just an awful mistake for 2 years that we're still paying for, and that we're only now recovering from like in the last 2 years.
So the future is bright for the Broncos. We got the Chiefs this Sunday. I'm optimistic. I'm going for that dub. We got this.
Yep.
8 games in a row, baby. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. And as always, go Broncos.